Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. We're getting you ready for the weekend with another Trapped In podcast. Today, Pam and I are talking about being trapped in the Crescent Lake Resort area. So if you had to stay just around Crescent Lake, so in Beach Club, Yacht Club, Boardwalk, Swan, or Dolphin, what would you do for an entire day, morning, noon, and night? We're talking about entertainment. We're talking about breakfast, lunch, dinner, shopping, just leisure time. What would you do to get to have a great day? There's so much to do in these 5 resorts in the surrounding area. So we talk about it all. So really, if you just need a mental vacation to Walt Disney World, we're taking you on one today to get the weekend started. So come right along with us. We're having a good time on today's show. Don't forget, today's podcast brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much for your support of us on Patreon. You can support us as well for just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. If you don't support us yet, come on over. We'd love to have you this weekend. It's patreon.com/beourguestpodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2551 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from beourguestpodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you and welcome to the first full weekend of September here on the Be Our Guest Podcast. And we're going to make it a good one. We're going to have some fun today going back to one of our old series that we started probably almost a decade ago and kind of switch it up a little bit today and have some fun to get your mind thinking about Walt Disney World. We know you love Walt Disney World. We know you wish you were there. And by the way, shout out to all of our Be Our Guest podcast lizards kicking off another Run Disney race season, but this time out on the West Coast, headed out to Disneyland for the Halloween races out there. Good luck. Get those miles in, collect your medals. And most importantly, make those memories and have so much fun. Post those pictures over in our clubhouse if you don't mind this weekend and let us know. Show all those pictures, show the bling, but show the snacks, show the times in the theme park, show the attraction photos. I just want to see it all because I can't get out there because I'm watching Mallory cheer Friday night and then we have tickets to the Mizzou game on Saturday. You know how it is. You got priorities with your kids, but I wish I was there. I'll be cheering you virtually from here in Missouri, but do post the pictures so I can share in on the fun. We're proud of you guys. So have a great weekend out in Disneyland. But joining me today, we're going to have some fun virtually hanging out at Walt Disney World with all of you guys. Joining me, Pam Forrester. She's co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel. Pam, happy Friday. What's going on?
Happy Friday. And actually, this is the perfect show for me because this is sort of one of my favorite areas in Walt Disney World. It's actually, I always say this, but so when I we stay at the Yacht Club a lot just because we're really familiar with it. And it's just, we have so many good memories there. It is one of those places that, right before you leave for vacation, things go crazy, right? It just always happens. There's things you have to do. Somehow people ask for, like, somehow it's like people around you're going on vacation. They're like, oh, I wanted to tell you about this. Could you whatever? So there's like stress and you're packing and it's always crazed, right? But when we get on property and I walk into the Yacht Club lobby, I exhale. Okay, I'm here. Like, I know where everything is. I know what I'm going to do, or I have so many different ideas of what I want to do. And I just love this area. And I love walking around that Crescent Lake area. I think it's so relaxing. You're right there. You can walk into Epcot and yet you feel very removed from the park. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah. So today's show, we are going to be trapped in the Crescent Lake area. So in the past, we did a series where we were trapped in Fantasyland at the Magic Kingdom, or trapped in Adventureland, or trapped in Toy Story Land, and we could not leave that land for the entire day. We just had to make the most of it. You know, we could eat there. We would have to entertain ourselves there. We would just have a good time, but we could not leave there. So we are going to say today, for today's purposes, we can't go into Epcot. We can't go into the studios, but we can walk around Crescent Lake there. So we can go into the yacht club, the beach club, the boardwalk, and all the, you know, stores around that area, the restaurants around that area, also the Swan and the Dolphin. And just for Len's sake, the Swolphin. He'd never heard of that term here in the live chat. Yes, it's a thing. Yeah, I mean, I think there's actually even a website somewhere that's called the Swolphin, right? There is.
I don't know. There may be.
There is. I'm almost positive that there is. I think it's actually a like a one that the Swan and the Dolphin recognize too. I think maybe it's a fever dream. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to have a good time because I like these shows because when you're missing Walt Disney World, it's kind of just fun to, in your mind's eye, kind of virtually walk around and picture these places and think about, man, if I was there, because it could be in the morning. That's a great thing about Crescent Lake. Crescent Lake, to me, it's great right at sunrise, but then it's a whole nother place, like in the evening when people are there after dark, because the boardwalk's got all those like stringy lights and there's live entertainment. There's a juggler. There's a fire juggler. No, there's not maybe there could be a fire juggler. It's your dream. Whatever. It's your mind's eye. If you want to make it a little bit more exciting, there's a fire juggler today. Who knows? Chainsaw juggler. I mean, who knows? It could be. It's Halloween. But who cares? It's going to be fun today. So we're going to walk around, talk about some of the great places to eat, to be entertained, and just to have a good time. And you mentioned that you exhale when you get to the beach and the yacht club upon arrival. I do the opposite. I inhale because those places smell great.
They do both smell really good. They all smell good. The boardwalk has a very distinct scent too that I love.
I'm always like, I waft it. I'm like, oh yes, I've arrived. It smells yacht clubby. It smells like natural woods.
Very yachty.
Nautical. It smells like yacht rock. It smells like Michael McDonald.
Yes.
Whatever. It smells like McClure, class of 70, because he went to high school with my uncle. Anyway, he's from St. Louis. So, okay, let's stroll around. What do we want to talk about first, Pam? What we're going to talk about? We're just kind of casually strolling around the Crescent Lake area.
Yeah, I think there's a ton to do in this space. And you don't even have to go into the park. I think if I'm staying at any of these resorts, I could staycation here.
Agreed.
Just because as you walk out from Epcot, you sort of reach that area where there's a bridge that goes over to the boardwalk. Or if you stay to the right there, you're going to encounter the beach club first. Then you'll follow that up with the yacht club. And then you can go ahead and walk around and you'll walk past the Swan and Dolphin and head over to the boardwalk there. So do you want to start with like what we do like in the morning? Where are you getting breakfast? What are you going to do? I mean,
yeah, let's start in the morning. Well, first of all, I would say if you're staying at any of these hotels, any of the 5, so we're talking Swan, Dolphin, Beach, Yacht, or Boardwalk, I would encourage you, if you have the time, if you're there for more than a couple of nights, this is a great place to get up in the morning, grab your favorite morning beverage. I don't drink coffee, so I grab a Coke Zero or whatever. But I mean, whatever, you go to the Boardwalk Bakery, go to your coffee stand and you get one in your room, get whatever at your hotel. And this is just one of the best places on property to stroll and just get the morning rolling right at sunrise, even pre-sunrise, and let the sun come up on you 15 minutes into your walk. You don't have to go for a run, but if you're a runner, that's a good place to run. It's a great place to run. But even if you're not a runner, grab that coffee and take in your morning stroll around Crescent Lake. It's beautiful to see the sunrise because as you get to the far side of Crescent Lake, when you're actually walking over by the Swan and the Dolphin and you look back towards where the cake shop's being built, you can actually see the Eiffel Tower and you can see Spaceship Earth over that way and the sunrise coming up. It's gorgeous. So don't discount that. And then as stuff starts to come alive in the morning, I do like to make my way over to the Boardwalk Bakery. They have a lot of good pastries. They have some savory things, you know, they have biscuits and sausage and stuff like that. But that's one of my favorite places to grab because most of the time the weather's nice and it's nice down there. A lot of times in January or February when it's nasty back in Missouri. and I can grab a nice breakfast and sit outside by the water and just be thanking my lucky stars that I can have a breakfast outside in January in Florida, and I can't do that at home. That's a great way to start the day.
No, I totally agree. And I think the Boardwalk Bakery in particular, I think is such a great place to be. Boardwalk Deli, they're calling it, remember they switched
Oh,
names.
dude, I
They
forgot.
try-
I say
I know.
again, we're back to Wednesday. Old dogs, new tricks. Can't do it.
Right, I know. But I will say they have I like the Boardwalk Deli for a couple of reasons. First of all, they have a few different bagel sandwiches, which I think, I mean, that's always sort of a yummy thing. They have a ciabatta sandwich too, but they also have, it's one of the few places in Walt Disney World that has an almond croissant. This is one of those things that I like. I rarely get it at home. Well, almost never at home, but on vacation, like this is like a vacation treat that I'm always like, oh, this is where it's at. There's just something about an almond croissant that is so good, and you can actually get it here. And then the other thing that they have there that you can get is that coffee cake.
Yeah, see
Like
that's my go-to. That I could have that morning, noon, and
know.
night. That's my new favorite snack
So
at Walt Disney
good.
World. Yeah, or everywhere. Oh, it's so and
It's
it's a great value. It's like $3 or $4, and it's huge. It's huge.
It is. It is. And it's like not really, the cake itself is really not that sweet. It's like the topping in it. And I don't love things that are overly sweet. So again, this is another thing that I'm like, oh, this is right up my alley. So I love those things, and I love that they have different things. But don't forget, the Boardwalk Deli is open all day and it has all kinds of good stuff. So we'll get to some other things later. But I agree. That's one of the places that we end up going for breakfast often when we're staying there is the Boardwalk Deli.
So what do you
And I
like
agree with you on the waking up there.
Are you
cannot
somebody
discount
who
that.
are you somebody though that on your vacation will get up and go for a stroll just to kind of get the
Oh,
day
yeah.
going? I mean, because not every day is a park day on vacation for you, right? Because it isn't for me. Not every single day.
No, it's not. And especially if it's not going to be like a park intense day, then we'll get up and sort of walk around. There are some good places to get coffee. And the Boardwalk Deli is actually one of the places that we stop. It's not like fancy coffee or anything, but it has decent coffee. And there's other locations to do that. And I think too, one of the things to think about is, especially the yacht club and the boardwalk, many of those rooms have a balcony. And I will say that's another great way to spend some time there too, because you can see some great locations from your balcony and just sort of enjoy that time. And I also think that it's absolutely worth some of the views, paying more for a view in some of these resorts, like the beach club, the yacht club, and the boardwalk. So like the beach club and the yacht club, when you're paying for that view of the water, not just a plain water view, but like the lake view room, that is, I think, worth it. It's so cool to be able to look out and see that area in the morning and to also see over to the boardwalk at night.
Yeah, what that view is, and again, I think you had to be around a little bit longer to understand what I'm saying here, is it's that planning video that you used to get back in the like 2000s, the VHS tape video. Like, this is what you dreamed of, is that, and also it's the Birnbaum's Guide, like picture you would see when it said Disney's Boardwalk Inn. It was always that, you know, the opening up of the boardwalk there with the water reflecting at night and the friendship boats going by. You know, that's, you kind of want to stay in those rooms, you know. I mean, they're all great, you know, when your eyes are closed, it's all the same. But I mean, it's cool to look down and see all the excitement happening. Now there is noise too, but I mean, it's a good trade-off, I would say.
It is. There's something about it. And the over at the Yacht and Beach Club, the water view room can be of either a pool or that Crescent Lake view. So if you want one over the other, you can also request that. Not guaranteed, but you can request it for sure.
And Len, again, our good friend, who his Sparties, Michigan State Spartans, are still 1-0. I'm going to say that until they lose, just because it's always great when your team's undefeated still into the football season. But he says, don't forget about the morning yoga in the turf over near the boardwalk yacht. So that big, when you walk out of the boardwalk, they have that artificial grass, the AstroTurf there.
They had to replace that. It did have real grass way back when.
I mean, a lot of people play soccer there and stuff. I mean, it took its toll there. I mean, I get it. It was heavily used. So be careful with the ACLs over there. I'm just saying, they can bite you. But yeah, they do. And all the resorts are doing stuff like this, which I think is very cool. You know, one of the things they do is yoga there. So stretch it. One of the coolest things I ever saw, off topic again, this is what I do. Grand Californian having breakfast at Storytellers. They were doing morning yoga in the pool at the Grand Californian, like on boogie boards.
Oh,
now that's at a
gosh.
whole different level. Because you had to like balance on a boogie board while you were doing morning. I kept telling Scott, I'm like, I'm elbowing. I'm like, Scott, dude,
Right?
this is so California. It's not just yoga. Those people are on boogie boards in the pool doing yoga. I'm like,
That's like expert level.
that's why I said
Like-
that is next level. It was wild. I was like, dude, this is worth the price. This is worth my $90 waffles right now to see that. That's the forget the characters. I'm watching this. It was
That's
wild.
too funny.
I was like, you're in California when? That was
Right?
wild. Anyway, so what else? So that's kind of like one thing I would say to get your morning go. We have a lot going on, but what else is kind of a high? Because we're gonna hit everything. What else a highlight of this area?
So I will say the pools at all these locations are great. Of course, Stormalong Bay is the Yacht and Beach Club. The pool at the boardwalk no longer has the scary clown, right? It's
That's
gone.
a disappointment. That's a downgrade. That clown was classic.
And the Swan and Dolphin also have a beautiful pool area too.
That's what it should have done after every kid came down. Like,
Right?
it spat you out and it would go.
Spit out the kid. It's true. And the other great thing about all these pool areas is, well, not all of them. So at the Yacht and Beach Club and also at the Swan and Dolphin, you can actually rent poolside cabanas there for the day. So if I was having a day where I was going to spend a good majority of my time by the pool, especially in the summer, let me tell you, I'd be thinking about one of these cabanas because that's not a bad way to spend a day by the pool. You have sort of that area. You'll have a refrigerator, you'll have a television, you'll have nice comfy chairs and lots of shade. So you don't have to worry about that. So I think that's a huge plus.
I would say, I mean, Stormalong Bay gets all the love, right? It's the best pool. It's just no debating it at Walt Disney World. But the pool at the boardwalk, it's criminally underrated, I think, because it's so close to Stormalong Bay. People don't talk about it, but if you ever, and you see it a lot when you run Disney races, because the marathon, a lot of the races run that path between the studios and Epcot, and you go past it. Because you have that slide that looks like, I guess it's like a Coney Island roller coaster or something,
Yeah,
that
like
old wooden roller coaster style. And we've stayed there a couple times, and that slide is a ton of fun. And the bar looks like an old carousel, and the pool's gigantic. That is an underrated pool. It's a great pool. Like people don't talk about it much, but it's a great feature pool. I like it a
And
lot.
Hannah used to say when she was little that was one of her favorite slides because it's a really tall
It's
slide.
big. Yeah, it's big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
long.
It goes around and around, and yeah, it's a significant. It's not just a puny water slide. I mean, it's a tall slide. And I think it's fun. It's just super fun. And I think that's the thing about so many of the pools at Walt Disney World is all the slides, you're not talking like they're not crazy slides. Grandma can ride the slide at all of the pools. And this is definitely one worth checking out for sure.
Grandmas in the 2020s are not grandmas in the 1980s. Dude, my grandma in the 1980s was not riding that slide. But I mean, 2020 grandmas, no problem.
Absolutely.
Dude,
right.
they're going down those things. Like, look out.
Yes.
It's a big difference. It's so I saw a thing the other day. It showed like, again, off topic, but it showed like all these characters from the like sitcoms of like the 70s and 80s, like Mel Sharples and like Flo from Alice.
Yes.
And all those people that she was like 39.
Right?
And like George Jefferson, he was like 42. I'm like, what?
I know.
I'm like,
When
oh
you're
my
looking
God.
at that list and the majority of them are younger than you are,
Exactly. I'm
that's
like,
a little
no
scary.
way. I thought they were like 80. Yeah, never mind. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so old. Anyway, so let's talk shopping though. One of the talking about criminally underrated places that never get any buzz. One of the best stores on property is Screen Door, which is the shop there that is at the boardwalk. That is right along the boardwalk there itself, and it's a gigantic store, and it's got great merchandise. So if you ever get a chance to go over there and want to shop for some merchandise, first of all, it's got great boardwalk hotel and villas specific merchandise. But inside of it, it's got like a mini confectionery too. It's got like little goodies like candy apples, like caramel apples, and Rice Krispie treats of different varieties, and it's got frozen treats. It's almost like a little mini it's like a kind of like Big Top treats at the Magic Kingdom on a mini scale. It's awesome. I mean, it's got sweet treats. It's got great merch, and people never talk about it. But if you don't go in there, you got to check it out. It's bigger than you think.
It is, and I really do appreciate that this shop at the boardwalk and also the shops at the Yacht and Beach Club do have resort specific merchandise. It's one of, and sometimes places do and sometimes they don't, but I feel like these shops in particular are always carrying it. And I always seem to find things at all of these shops that I don't see other places. Like I'll walk in and I'll be like, what is this? I have not seen this at any other location. So I like that about that too. So you're right. The shopping is really good there. And I think another thing that sort of sets this area apart in particular is the recreation options when you think about it. So like you can get a fishing excursion from these resorts. You can get a boat excursion from these resorts. You can rent a Surrey bike over at the boardwalk. I mean, those are not, when you think about those kind of things, that's something that you can't get at every resort. And in addition, there are tennis courts / pickleball courts.
Tennis was so 70s, dude. We're pickleball now.
I know,
or as that little baby's commercial says, this is wiffle tennis.
Right. I know. But they have the lines for both so that you can play both of them. So
I guess people up in the Northeast still play tennis. Here, dude, it's all so because we have a franchise. I don't know if you guys have this up your way. Pickle and chicken and pickle. You guys have chicken and pickle?
Oh, no, we don't have that.
Oh, dude, it's a huge franchise now. It's this gigantic they build these huge like complexes, kind of like the size of like a Dave and Buster's, but they're bigger. It's bigger than a Dave and Buster's with just a bunch of pickleball courts on the inside. Some of them are indoor, some of them are like outdoor but covered, and it's like a huge sports venue. But they serve like Buffalo Wild Wings, like wings and sports bar food. But you go in there and you rent out a court. And they have like 20 or 30 courts. Yeah, chicken and pickle.
Yeah, we have them at our parks. Like we have some legit pickleball. Like they'll have pickleball tournaments here. When they did the like community chest project of the year a few years ago, and they were asking people like to fund what they wanted to see. So that was how people voted, right? With their pocketbook. Pickleball courts were by far the most popular thing. So anyways,
our generation can play pickleball still, and we have a little disposable income. That's exactly the two reasons why pickleball is taking over the world.
It's right. But it's really something that I think you can do all these recreation things at these resorts. And I think it's things that people don't always think about, right? I mean, you don't always think about a fishing excursion, especially at Walt Disney World, but we've had, lots of people that have come on and been a guest of the show that have talked about like how great these fishing excursions are. I know you've done one, Steve's done them. They're just a really cool thing. And this is one of the areas where you can do that. And the other thing is the Surrey bikes. I mean, look, I'm not sure I understand the appeal, but people love the Surrey bikes. And
kids love the Surrey bikes. Parents get roped into riding the Surrey bikes. And I'll tell you what, that hill going over towards the Swan and the Dolphin, it stinks. I'm trying to use the right word here. It stinks to run up during the races. But I'm telling you what, when you're trying to pedal a Volkswagen up that sucker, especially if you've gone over to Beaches and Cream and eaten a No Way Jose or something on a 100-degree day with 98% humidity, is the world's worst idea. And I'll tell you what, if you want to be a good person and you see a dad or a family in pain, like trying to get their Surrey bike, it's perfectly good karma to get behind the Surrey bike and just push them.
Yes.
Push them up the hill. Be the good person. Push them all the way to the top of the hill, and then when they're at the top of the hill, give them one last push, like the Jamaican bobsled team, down towards the board, down towards the jelly rolls, and just say, "Have fun," and just let them
right.
Go. Exactly. Be the good person.
It is that hill, like it's exponentially more brutal. Steep.
Yeah, it's so brutal.
It really, truly is.
Right.
It's crazy.
Who thought that arch was a great architectural touch? It's not.
Yes, right. They're like, we're going to embrace the natural topography of the area.
Yeah, whatever. Forget that.
I know, right? The other thing that's a great recreation activity that's within walking distance right here, of course, is Fantasia Gardens.
Yes.
The mini golf. It's like mini golf slash, I don't know. It's a more challenging mini golf.
Yeah,
So it's not like goofy golf.
Well, I mean, we just call it putt putt, you know. But
you're not going to see the
trademark.
windmill. Like, you're not going to have to putt through the windmill.
Well, on the one course, you kind of have the kind of obstacles that are like that, but then you have the one course that is it's called like fairways or something.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to be a real golfer to play that one. Those are super long, and it's got the humps and now that one doesn't have the obstacles, but they're hugely impossible. I've never even played that. You got to be super good to play that course.
Yeah, there's like for people to work on their actual putting skills.
I mean, that one's meant to like give Tiger Woods fits. You know, like you don't want any of that on vacation. Seriously, I mean, you're supposed to have fun. Like, for real. Why would you do that?
You shouldn't want to have to throw your golf club.
Exactly. I mean, and it's right there on a major artery. Like, there's Buena Vista Drive. I mean, like, if I was playing that one, there's danger to those cars because I could throw my putter at any moment because I am super competitive. Yeah,
it's true. And the thing is, with all of those courses, there's like, after you reach a certain point, you're supposed to stop. You're supposed to pick up your ball.
If you take a snowman, it's an 8. Yeah, but I mean, some people don't. They just like, dude, that's your 13th stroke. Give it up.
Right. Exactly. Like, how many is that? But then on this course, I'm always like, I don't really want someone behind me counting mine either, though, if I'm going to be honest about this. So
take a snowman. Take a snowman.
Yeah. I know, but you'll be able to do that when you're in this area. And, you know, if you're doing a package, then the mini golf after a certain time, of course, you can use those
before a certain time, before 4. It's before 4 o'clock.
Is it before?
Yes,
4?
Because they don't want you after. It's prime time after 4 o'clock because it cools
because
off.
People are tired.
Exactly. Well, because it's hotter during the day, so they want you to use it when nobody's around. Yeah, they want you to use it when people are in the parks, basically. But that's why it's free then. So before 4 o'clock.
So then you can do it. So
Absolutely.
I think there's just so many recreation things that you can do in this area. And over at the Swan and Dolphin, they have swan boats that you can rent. They're like paddle boats that look like swans. They have a few different pools over there. One like always reminds me of like Olympic, like it's lined and stuff. Like you're doing laps, you know, they're ready for you over there. They have a nice slide at one of their pools too. So lots of good stuff to do if you're staying in that area.
There's one that kind of gives me like a Vegas vibe. It's
one of the pools.
I don't know. Just people look hip there. I don't know why. They just look more hip because I guess it's like conventioneers. Conventioneers look more hip. I don't know. It just I was there one day because I was there for like a media thing and like they put us up there and I'm like, dude, everybody here looks like hip. And then I left. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. I don't belong here. I need to go back to Pop Century. Anyway. So also though we have, so let's transition into like snacking and dining. I mean, because you have, of course, if you want to get a good lunch, I would, of course, beaches and cream. You have your burgers, your chili, your onion rings, and of course, all your ice creams you could imagine, your No Way Jose's, your shakes. I mean, if you're staying in this area, you have to go there at least once. And you can walk up. I know a lot of people say, I couldn't get an ADR. Just go over there and just walk up. Just be patient. You'll get in within a half an hour. You'll get in.
Yeah. Especially since they've expanded it. It used to be so much smaller and really impossible to get there. And it's still one of the ones that I think, people think about making an ADR for, but yes, absolutely. They have a walk up and you can use that feature for sure. So I think it's a great place for a lunch. I also think that we talked about the Boardwalk Deli, and of course that is something that I think is a good place for a lunch too. It's funny because over at the Boardwalk area, there's not as many lunch options, but the new corn dog stand did open to much fanfare, I will say. They have the pickle corn dog, which is a pickle, and has a hot dog in it, and then it's all dipped in corn dog batter and served with a side of peanut butter.
I'd go for
And
that.
it is definitely worth it. It's a very unique treat, and I think definitely worth checking out too.
Dude, I mean, I did find out I have ulcers. I don't know how that would do with that. It'd be probably a bad combo, but it's probably most things I eat are. So who cares? They've given me pills, so I guess I'm good. I'll just take a pill and move on. Just my life. So yeah, I would do that. Also, Len says the pizza window. People swear by that pizza at the Boardwalk Pizza Window, which is over there by the Abracadabra Bar and Trattoria El Forno. You know what?
Yeah.
I've had pizzas there, like full pizzas, years ago, like at Marathon Weekend, but haven't had them for a while. Can't recall
I think the
lately.
pizza at the window is different than what you get at
Maybe.
Trattoria. So I agree. I think that pizza is decent too. There's also so many other great dining locations in the spot. Like we have Ale and Compass, which we talk about all the time. Yes. The lounge and the restaurant is great. We have Cape May Cafe, which is a very unique dining spot. It's a buffet, but it features a lot of seafood options that you just don't find in other locations. So for that reason, I think that that's something that appeals to a lot of people. And it's a character meal in the morning for breakfast too. But I know, Mike, your family doesn't love seafood, but if you were there by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if I was solo, yeah, heck yeah. I mean, my family's so bad, they won't even, like, they hate to walk past it. Because I will be honest, like, it's pungent. Like, when we walk past there, if you don't like seafood, I mean, it hits you like a brick wall. Like, you can, I get it. Like, my wife's like, she doesn't like seafood. If you're from the Midwest, like it's a thing. I get it. I don't know how I got to be liking seafood where I'm from, because most people around here don't. But yeah, she's always like, "Oh man, we're going past Cape May Cafe." I'm like, it's not that bad. It smells good to me. But yeah, so that's how you get your character fix, though. If you're not going into the parks, but you want to get a touch there, you can breakfast at Cape May. It's good. Also, I want to mention though, if you can't get into beach or beaches and cream, the fountain over at the Swan is a kind of like a secondary beaches and cream, because it's got the same kind of stuff. It's got burgers and fries and like grilled cheese sandwiches and BLTs and stuff like that. And just so you know, it has a PB&J shake, which I will tell you it's not the same as 50s Primetime, but it's dang good. I've had it a couple of times. It's pretty good. So you can get in over there. So just don't forget about the fountain over at the Swan. I think it's at the Swan. If it's not, it's at the Dolphin. It's either the Swan or the Dolphin. If it's not in the one, it's go across the street. I can't remember. I can never remember which one those things are in, guys. I can never remember. So I was just like, if I go to the one, it's not there, just go across the way. It's
I know. I'm always looking up at the top of the building.
No, it's
like
50-50.
Remember where I am.
God, I can never remember. I'm so old. I cannot. So if it's not in one, it's in the other. I can't tell.
They do also have at Stormalong Bay, Hurricane Hannah's is right there. It's outside.
Favorite of the Foresters, Hurricane Hannah.
Yes, it is. Yes, happens to share my daughter's name. Not happens to. It was intentional. But there are lots of good places. At the boardwalk, they recently, this is in the past year or so, opened up like a coffee shop. Remember where that little small shop used to be? It needed it.
Yeah, for a hot minute, that was all the talk of the Disney community.
It was good. It's good. And it did need that. It needed that location. But there's lots of fine dining too. If you're looking for someplace to go for a nice meal, at Yacht Club, you have Yachtsman Steakhouse, which we talked about on the show earlier this week. At the boardwalk, there's lots of good. You have Flying Fish, which is one of my favorites. We talked about Trattoria El Forno. That's a good location. And then the Swan and Dolphin itself has lots of good dining. Shula's Steakhouse, Todd English's Blue Zoo, Il Molino, Rosa Mexicano.
Oh, and everybody keeps talking about that in the clubhouse. That looks so good. And every person raves about that place. It's been there. A lot of our listeners have gone there. They say it might be the best Mexican food on property. They say it's amazing. Wow. I know. And that pictures, holy cow. I am dying to go there. Oh, it looks so good. They say the tableside guac is the die for.
Interesting.
See,
Yeah.
what got me,
Yeah.
dude, my heart's skipping a beat when I hear tableside guac.
Tableside walk. It's a good thing. But yeah, so I mean, you're not going to not have places to eat here. Of course, the lounge folks are going to like that. There's plenty of lounges from Abracadabra over at the boardwalk to
Cruise Cup.
Cruise Cup and Martha's Vineyard
Yep.
at the beach club, and then over at the Swan and Dolphin, lots of places to that will have a lounge there too. So just like Shula's and Il Molino and Kimonos and all of those, and even Rosa Mexicano has its own lounge. So they can do that. So you're not going to get tired of the dining in that location, I don't think.
No, it's you could just stay there for 4 or 5 nights and you could do casual dining. And here's the thing too, Trattoria El Forno I think is so very underrated, but we all collectively want this place to stay exactly like it is because it's a place that you can go to for an ADR all the time, and you're going to get a solid meal. So if you're looking for some Italian food, it's got it. You want lasagna, you want they have like those they're not pitas, but what are they, like the hot pocket things, but they're not called hot pockets.
Like the calzone.
Calzones. Yes, they're like fancy hot pockets. But they're so good. I mean, they have good salads. It's a really good Italian restaurant that is easy to get in, and it's easily accessible too, right? If you're at the boardwalk, you're at the beach club, you're at the yacht club, you're at Epcot, you want to hop out, you're at the studios, you want to hop out. It's just so easy to get to. And I just like the environment of the place, and it just puts you in a good spot too. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a great restaurant.
It is.
And it's not super expensive either. It's really moderately priced.
I agree. It's not a signature restaurant. On the dining plan, it's going to be 1 credit, I believe, there. So it's not going to be a 2 credit location. So that's another thing to think about. And I think that's another great point to think about. If you have the dining plan, you're going to have some 1 table service credit restaurants that are good. Ale and Compass, that's just 1 credit. That's solidly good food. And I think that's a good location to try. I think the other thing is too, in that boardwalk area, eventually that cake shop is supposed to open, right? And they're going to do.
Rumor has it. I mean, I did hear back in 2019 there's going to be a cake shop. I mean, they took out my beloved ESPN. Now I'm going to watch my Tigers, but whatever.
I know, right? But when that opens, it looks like it's going to have some great breakfast, some great lunch/tea options. So that'll be a good spot to go to. So yeah, lots of dining at these locations. I mean, the Swan and Dolphin themselves, when you look at the list of restaurants there, it's a long list.
Extensive.
It really is.
I mean, those are huge. You don't realize how large those 2 hotels are. They're massive.
You are.
They're gigantic. They have a lot going on. So definitely, I think the thing is too, a lot of folks, and I was exactly this person. Like, I was a snob, right? I'm gonna stay away from those 2 hotels because they're not Disney owned, right? They're on property, but they're not Disney owned. But then when I finally went over there and just kind of looked around, like, oh, well, hopefully nobody sees me. But I'm going to have lunch over at the fountain. It was fine. It was good. Like, the food was good. My PB&J shake was awesome. It's cool. And like, Scott was like, dude, we got to go to Il Molino. I was like, whatever, we'll go to Il Molino. Oh man, it was a good meal. The only bad thing was they told me you can't wear a hat when you eat at Il Molino. So I was like, okay, I'd take my hat off. So I had to take my hat off and keep it, like, fix my hair real quick. Because it was fancy. You can't have a hat on in that place. I was like, wow, fancy. I'm Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago. But it was pretty, it was like, this is pretty fancy. But it was fine. Food was worth it. But, it's good to get, try some new places. And, when you're over there as well, you got entertainment. You got things like jelly rolls, you got a dueling piano bar on the boardwalk. You have Abracadabra, and then, at night, most nights, you got like a juggler. You got, you can shoot hoops if you want for like try to win prizes like on a boardwalk. There's some live music out there sometimes. It's just, of course, the people buzzing through in their Surrey bikes. There's just an energy just to being out and just taking a stroll with an ice cream cone or a cookie or cotton candy or your corn dog that's a pickle or whatever with peanut butter. I mean, it's total vacation mode when you just stroll around at night with the lights and the friendship boats going doot doot out on the water. I just love being out on the boardwalk at night. It's a great way to wrap up a night at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I agree. There is. And all three of these resorts, too, are going to have the movie Under the Stars, which we all think is such a great, overlooked, often overlooked thing to do at your resort. There is something about watching a Disney movie outside with a screen, sitting on a lounge chair or sitting in the grass or something like that, seeing it right there. It's so fun. And it just makes you sort of appreciate, I think, all those movies a little more. You sort of get the opportunity to create a new memory of that movie because you're watching it in a different way. And Mike, you have an assignment the next time you're there. You have to pick a Disney movie you haven't seen, which will be really easy for you since you haven't seen a lot of them.
That's true.
And do a Movies Under the Stars
Let's
thing.
see.
Because it is.
What was the one from Wednesday? Emperor's New Groove?
Emperor's New Groove. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Boom,
baby.
See the hatch or something? The
pull the
cord,
lever.
The cord. Why is there always a cord? The lever. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes.
And Jason's got the comment of the day. The cake shop was going to open in 2056, maybe.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I know,
no,
right?
but yeah, I'm ready for cakes and fancy stuff. But so here's the thing too. Kind of wrapping this up as we're at the end of the show. But for me, like when I first started going to Disney, was that staying at like the beach club or the yacht club or the boardwalk, that was really kind of aspirational at first, right? Because like my wife and I were both school teachers, and just going to Walt Disney World was a huge deal. We stayed at All Stars or maybe Pop Century, and that was fine because we were always in the parks, and that's kind of how it was. But what we did do kind of the first time was that we did a split. We stayed for our package for the majority of the stay. And then I remember like we added like a night or two at Beach Club at the end. And that was such a splurge for us, but it opened up a whole new world to us. We realized it was fancy to stay at the Beach Club and you got all those extra amenities and we loved it. Like we got to swim in Stormalong Bay and we got to do all the things we talked about today. We got to shop at Screen Door over at the boardwalk and got to explore all these, lounges and stuff. But there's just regular people, like we weren't, it was no different. Like we had a good time. But I think that's a great way to kind of maybe, if you've never stayed in one of these hotels over in the Crescent Lake area, maybe you don't stay there for 7 nights, but maybe if you want to just try out staying at a place like this, do a split, stay 5 nights at French Quarter, or stay 5 nights at All Star Music or, Pop Century or at Art of Animation, whatever you're used to. And maybe just split the last 2 nights out, over at Boardwalk and check it out. I think that's a great introduction to a place like this.
Agreed. And I think one of the advantages to staying at least the yacht, beach, and boardwalk is that they have standard rooms that can accommodate up to 5 guests with that day bed. So consider that. That might be an option that if you have 5 in your party that you want to consider. And finally, these resorts each have a club level, which I know that seems again like an added expense, but when you consider the other things that are included in your club level stay, like the breakfast, like the afternoon snacks and the evening appetizers and cordials and desserts, that's something that sort of it makes it easy to sort of value that, right? It has a value. It does cost more, but there is a value to it as well. And I think that's something to consider too. And I think also these resorts are all great for any kind of celebration stay. And we have the very distinct pleasure in our business to be the part of so many fantastic celebrations and memories. And that's really such an honor. And it's hard to think of a better location than these 3 when you're thinking about something like that.
It's cool because when you stay there, and I've been lucky enough to stay there a few times, that you can actually hear the friendship boats in the morning. Like when you wake up, there's something to be like when you're at Wilderness Lodge or the Contemporary or, on the monorail loop, when you hear like the resort come to life each morning. Like when you're at the Wilderness Lodge, sometimes you'll hear the train for the first thing in the morning. You hear, boop, boop, or you hear the ferry boat, bringing guests, starting the day. And it's just like, you have to be somebody that's listening to the BR Guest podcast or any podcast, right? You get it. We always talk about getting it. You understand those sounds that make us happy. For us really crazy people, and crazy in a good way. Like when you hear the air brake of a Disney bus, like, that bus is taking us to a theme park, right? It gets us pumped. At home, that bus would be taking you to work or wherever, in downtown New York City or whatever. We don't use mass transit here in the Midwest too much, but it's about context. To me, that bus always means it's taking me somewhere fun. I'm going to the Magic Kingdom or Epcot or wherever. So I just think that, it's an opportunity to see things in a cool way. So hopefully you got to go on this metal journey with us today, around and see the water and go shopping at Screen Door, go to the pool at the boardwalk and fly the flying jib slide and go over to the cake bake shop, which who knows if we'll open. We can pretend. Hopefully, because I could use some cake right now. It'd be great. And I could use a stay at any of these hotels right now. Pam, how about you for the weekend? I could take it.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I don't have a trip planned like in the next whatever. And now I'm like, but I want to be there. I do want to be there.
Same. And shout out real quick to Carol Houston over on Instagram. She says her son is currently working in the culinary program over at Trattoria El Forno. So thank you. That's awesome that he is doing that. And she says the pizza is the same because for over at Trattoria and because he occasionally works the window over at the boardwalk.
Oh, fun. So, I didn't know that. See, it's good to know.
We have experts all the time listening to the show. So, hey, we don't even have to guess because we have the experts.
We have friends in good places.
We do. Telling you what, making the pie. So there you go. All right, we're going to jump out of here and wish you a great weekend. Don't forget the show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan a great Disney vacation, Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, even Adventures by Disney to get out there and see the world. Best part, no additional cost to you. You get our concierge level services absolutely free each and every time. Check out all the details this weekend while you're hanging out over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And support the show on Patreon. We'd appreciate that so very much. It's just $5 a month, just a cup of coffee each month, and it keeps us going. Helps us pay for the video support, the audio hosting, the bandwidth, all that stuff. And as the show grows, those costs grow, so it really does help us take care of that. And for that support, you'll get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. So coming over this weekend, we'd love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. All right, give us a follow on the social media, Pam. Check her out at TMFLT Pam. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And of course, we hang out all the time, 24/7, 365 in our clubhouse. It's at beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. That's our Discord server. It's basically a message board and a live kind of thread that goes on in real time. It's a lot of fun. We have about 1,150 of our listeners in there all the time, talking Disney, talking sports, talking everything. So come on over and hang out with us this weekend. Also, we'll have our live call-in show Sunday night. Scott joins me and we take your calls live. So if you want to talk about anything, give us a holler. It's 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central this Sunday night, 2 nights from tonight. Join us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or Twitch. We'll be waiting for your call. All right. So until we get back together again on Sunday night, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. But until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.